While exploring the secret lab in her basement, Jenny Wakeman makes a shocking discovery. She's far from one of a kind. In a hidden room, she finds 8 deactivated robots, the XJ-1 through XJ-8 series. All of them turn out to be early prototypes of Jenny herself, whom Dr. Nora Wakeman deemed failures and simply hid away to avoid trouble. Deciding to activate her sisters, Jenny quickly faces a harsh reality. Living with 8 completely different, moody, and unstable robots is no walk in the park. Over time, however, she learns to accept and love her weird mechanical family.
Wow, we did it! You guys saved me! Nothing gonna tear us apart.
Even though Jenny is the 9th and later experiment, XJ-9, every single sister recognizes her as the eldest. In terms of mental development, responsibility, and emotional maturity, Jenny naturally takes on the role of the big sister in the house. But why did Nora Wakeman build this entire XJ line in the first place? To understand Nora's vision, we have to rewind 20 years. Before the XJ series, Dr. Wakeman had another defender of Earth, Armadroid. He's Jenny's most powerful brother, built to the size of an entire city block. His sole task was a simple and ruthless command: search and destroy any enemy weapon. For his time, he was the absolute pinnacle of engineering. However, Armadroid went out of control. He became way too dangerous, and Nora realized Earth needed a different kind of protection. That's when the idea for the XJ series was born: more compact, intelligent, and controllable robots. By the way, Jenny doesn't consider Armadroid a brother, and he isn't a part of the official XJ line anyway. So where did Dr. Wakeman begin her journey toward the perfect teenage robot? Let's break down all the sisters in order, from the earliest prototypes to the almost flawless models. We'll start with XJ-1, the very first and youngest prototype. Mentally, she's basically a 1-year-old baby. She looks like an egg-shaped machine with light bulbs for eyes, a single tooth in her mouth, and a lower torso that resembles a diaper. XJ-1 can't talk. She only whistles, coos, and easily bursts into tears when frightened, shedding actual, real tears. As for her combat abilities, all she can do is erupt grease and motor oil, and if her chassis gets split in half, there's a yolk-like substance inside. All in all, a cute but ridiculously messy baby. Nora's next step was XJ-2. While the first model was a harmless toddler, the second was an attempt at a pure weapon. XJ-2 is a prototype that functions as a ray gun, but she has a massive design flaw: uncontrollable hiccups. Every time she hiccups, a random plasma blast shoots out of her nozzle mouth. Not exactly the safest housemate. Moving on to XJ-3, here Nora tried to make a robot that looked more humanoid. Visually, XJ-3 resembles Jenny on the scale of a toddler, with one eye and claws for hands. From a robotic standpoint, XJ-3 is like a toddler learning to walk. She's incredibly clumsy, constantly loses her balance, and literally breaks into pieces when she falls. That said, she does have an arsenal. She can transform her hands into hammers and create a spinning tail, just like a scorpion. Advancing the line, Dr. Wakeman creates XJ-4, and this is where the design gets truly weird. XJ-4 has only one leg with a wheel at the end, but a whole 4 long robotic arms. Her head is adorned with a cute lavender bow on her central antenna. Why so many arms? XJ-4 is a neat freak hyperactive sister. She's constantly having to clean up after XJ-1, who leaves oil everywhere, and XJ-3, who keeps falling apart. She multitasks like a pro and keeps the house spotless. With the XJ-5 model, Nora Wakeman started experimenting with socialization and speech. XJ-5 is a teal, blocky robot that strongly resembles a vintage radio. She has dials instead of eyes, a speaker for a mouth, and her rocket engines are styled as pigtails that let her fly. XJ5 is the family's resident commentator and chatterbox. She never shuts up for a second, which often drives everyone crazy.
Hi, I'm XJ-9's. Nice to meet you. Ooh, you smell kind of funny, but then again, all you humans do. Oh, hey, looky, a munchkin. You smell a little funny. Ha! I understand you organic beings enjoy a good joke, so you're pretty darn old for a human. Are those nose hairs?
XJ5, you should leave that man.
Oh, chatterbox, wait your turn. Can't you see I'm having a conversation with this gentleman? Great. Now you scared him off. Hey, Pops, wait up! So, how old are you in, say, dog years?
But don't underestimate her. XJ5 has great leadership skills. In the show, she's the one who takes charge of the sisters when they need to organize a dam repair. And now we're getting to the models with actual complex human emotions. XJ6 is probably the most dramatic prototype. She's tall, skinny, walks on 3 peg legs, and her head looks like a monitor with 2 screens. She also keeps one of her arms hidden most of the time. XJ6 is the definition of an insecure teenager. She's irritable, moody, and practically consumed by envy toward Jenny. XJ6 feels like Mom views her as defective and abandoned, while Jenny gets all the fame, beauty, and status as Earth's primary protector. If XJ6 represents envy, XJ7 is pure, unadulterated depression. Picture sadness from inside out, but made of metal. A blue chassis, bags under her eyes, droopy pigtails, a slouching posture, and tank treads instead of legs. XJ7 suffers from extremely low self-esteem. She finds absolutely everything meaningless and considers herself totally useless. It gets to the point where she's prone to self-destruction, rationalizing that she can't even make a convincing villain.
I can't even be evil in a convincing way. Why did he pick me? I'm worthless. Prepare for self-destruct.
Realizing her emotional experiments with XJ6 and XJ7 had spiraled out of control, Nora swung the pendulum in the opposite direction. Enter XJ8. XJ8 is the biggest, most massive and muscular robot of the entire series. She prefers to solve every problem with pure brute force. She speaks in a monotone mechanical voice and has virtually no emotions.
XJ8, what are you doing?
This human was blindfolded and was using a stick-type weapon to vandalize a colorful paper pig.
It's a game, XJ8.
As Dr. Wakeman later explained, she made her so strong, heavily armored, and huge that there simply wasn't any room in her system for a complex personality, like sensitivity or a sense of humor. That's precisely why Jenny was made physically weaker, but endowed with a full human soul. After their initial meeting and a little bit of chaos, the sisters are deactivated again. But their story doesn't end there. In the future, when Jenny faces a threat she can't handle alone, her sisters will return. Each of these flawed, strange, and defective models will play her part. What's even cooler is that all of Jenny's sisters can actually combine and merge into a single entity. For instance, in the show, they all assembled together to save the city from a massive flood. In another episode, they fused into one gigantic cannon to fire a power blast and rescue Jenny. That shot never happened, though. All because XJ1 burst into tears at the last second. Luckily, Jenny was still saved later on thanks to XJ1. And that's all for today. Hit that like button, subscribe, and see you next time.